During the Third Holy Grail War in Fuyuki, the Ainsburn family attempts to gain an upper hand in the competition by manipulating the rules. They alter their summoning to obtain a unique class of servant, Avenger, and the servant they summon is a dark entity called Angra Mainyu, an embodiment of all the world's evils. Unfortunately, Angra Mainyu proves to be weak in battle and is defeated early into the fighting, causing him to be absorbed into the Grail. There, all of his torment and evils spread into the Greater Grail, corrupting it for future wars. By the time of the Fourth Holy Grail War, the Mato family, formerly known as the Makiri, has had its magic crest weakened over the years. For this upcoming war, they have no suitable master to participate. Inversely, the Tosaka family, under Tokiomi and his wife Aoi, have 2 children with exceeding capacity to be mages. Normally, however, a mage family will only raise 1 child as the family's magical heir, so Tokiomi Tosaka strikes a deal with Zoken, the Mato elder, to have his daughter Sakura adopted into the Mato family as a replacement heir. This way, both of Tokiomi's daughters can excel in their potential for magecraft. At a young age, both Rin Tosaka and Sakura are separated from each other. As they part, Rin gives her sister a ribbon to tie in her hair, their final act of sisterhood for the coming 11 years. While Rin is trained traditionally in magecraft under Tokiomi's tutelage, Sakura's fate is far more tragic. The Mato family does not hone its mage's talents through the teaching of techniques. Rather, it conditions its mage's bodies in the most horrific way imaginable. In the Mato estate's basement is a decrepit pit filled with vile creatures, crestworms, that feed off mages and their mana. By allowing themselves to be infested with the creatures over many years, the Mato mages can develop a very instinctive form of magecraft. Zoken believes he can utilize Sakura in a future war, so he has her cast into the pit, despite being just a child. She is swarmed by the worms, violated by their phallic and parasitic squirming, unable to so much as breathe without permission. In little time, the worms alter her physical appearance, and she is broken, reduced to an emotionless puppet of the Matos. Upon discovering this horror, Kariya Mato, a member of the family who had originally cut ties with it in disgust, appeals to Zoken. If he can win the Fourth Holy Grail War, Zoken will no longer need Sakura, so he instead casts himself into the worm pit, hoping to save her. Sadly, the Fourth Holy Grail War ends in a complete and utter tragedy for most parties. The worms, surging through Kariya's body, feed upon him until he dies, and he is unable to save Sakura. Even worse, the Grail is partially destroyed, and Angra Mainyu's corruption flows forth in the form of accursed mud that engulfs Fuyuki in a devastating fire. In the aftermath, Zoken looks upon the destruction and gathers remnants from the Holy Grail, which he implants into Sakura, along with a nasty crestworm that latches to her heart. Zoken, who lives by transferring his decaying soul into various bodies, makes his soul's home in the crestworm, hoping to one day transform Sakura into the Grail's vessel and have himself merge with the corruption to become one with Angra Mainyu. The Mato family, despite no longer having a prolific magic crest, continues to have descendants. Kariya's brother, who stayed with the family, is a man named Byakuya, who carries on family matters as nothing more than a figurehead, with no potential as a sorcerer. His son, Shinji, thusly grows up yearning to become a mage with false hopes, learning only scraps of magecraft in his childhood. At first, when Sakura is adopted, Shinji feels threatened by her presence, but in time he convinces himself that he is the legitimate heir, and in turn takes a liking to Sakura, though he never properly shows it, instead teasing her. Byakuya withholds the truth of Shinji's ineptitude from him, but when Shinji accidentally stumbles across the worm pit, he discovers that they have been raising Sakura to be the heir instead. Byakuya later dies, and Shinji is left utterly alone. These feelings manifest in disdain for Sakura, which, out of pity and guilt, she accepts. Sakura submits to her brother's whims, and is continuously raped by him as a means of venting his frustration. Under these twisted circumstances, this sexual and physical abuse helps tame the crestworms inside her that feed upon her mana. Regardless, Sakura internalizes her contempt for Zoken, who tortured her, Tokiomi, who had disowned her, and Rin, who had never attempted to save her. Over the years, Sakura finds strength to endure her suffering from only one source: the determination of a boy named Shiro Emiya. She first witnesses him adamantly practicing the high jump after school, trying again after each failure. To watch him from afar, she joins the same archery club as him. When Shiro injures himself at his part-time job, Sakura gathers enough bravery to visit his home and care for him until he gets better. Even after, she continues to visit the Emiya household and cook for Shiro and his guardian Taiga, as it and the archery club are her only pleasures in life. Her love for Shiro restores her humanity, and it seems she can finally live happily despite her secret tortures. Even then, she fears revealing her secrets, afraid of lying to Shiro, but also fearing his reaction if she finds out how impure she truly is. Shiro and Shinji develop a strained relationship, maintaining a form of friendship even after Shiro learns of Sakura's abuse. Honestly, Sakura simply wants the two to get along, and so Shiro does his best to remain amicable. However, this is all disrupted by the early arrival of the Fifth Holy Grail War. As heir to the Mato family, Sakura is selected as a master and manages to summon Medusa as her rider servant. But she is devastated to discover Shiro is also a master, not wanting to fight against Shiro or Rin. Sakura is convinced by Shinji to relinquish control of Medusa to him, which is accomplished by sacrificing one of her 3 command seals to give Shinji a grimoire. Of course, Shinji's ineptitude for magecraft means he cannot hope to support a servant, and Ryder is easily defeated in her first fight. Shinji's grimoire burns, and Ryder returns to Sakura. The chaos of the Grail War prompts Shiro to realize his own love for Sakura. When he returns her affections, it provokes her guilt and pent-up emotions, causing her to begin transforming into the Black Grail, an imperfect vessel for Angra Mainyu to awaken within. By day, she is mostly bedridden, but in her slumber, her consciousness awakes in the form of a shadow creature that devours the citizens of Fuyuki, as well as other servants. Zoken uses this as a chance to enter the battle with his own servant, True Assassin, and monitor the Shadow's activities. Kire Kotomine, as the Holy Church's ambassador and overseer of the Grail War, also becomes involved. Shinji, wallowing in his defeat, feels inferiority to Shiro and forces Sakura to use her second command seal to produce another grimoire. He holds her hostage at school, hoping to trap Shiro in a blood fort he demanded that Ryder construct. After a harrowing confrontation, Shiro and Rin free Sakura, who decides to no longer fight in the war. Unfortunately, this triggers her earrings to shatter and release an aphrodisiac, which causes her impulses to go out of control. Kire manages to stabilize her, but insists she will die without a miracle brought on by the Holy Grail. This forces Shiro to abandon his dream to become a hero of justice and focus his efforts solely on saving Sakura. He embraces Sakura in the rain, declaring his will to protect her no matter the cost. Later on, when the shadow emerges while Shiro and Rin are fighting in the Ainsburn forest, it attempts to consume them. Shiro is rescued at the last second by Archer, who is instead devoured by the darkness. Shiro loses his arm in the process, and Kire is able to replace it with the spare arm Archer left behind. While he gains great power from this arm, it is also killing him. Sakura begins to realize that her nightmares of being the Shadow are in fact real. When she sees what's happened to Shiro, she grows sick and vomits profusely. Beyond this, being away from Shinji and his frequent raping causes the crestworms in her body to demand more mana, driving her into fits of lust. Both she and Shiro make love to ease their suffering. While Shiro is learning to harness the power of his new arm, Zoken calls him to the Mato estate and explains that Sakura is the Shadow and that he cannot control it. Zoken claims that the only way to stop the Shadow's rampage is to kill Sakura. Of course, Shiro cannot bring himself to harm Sakura, even when she herself asks for it. Furthermore, Medusa, loyal to her true master, refuses to let Shiro hurt her. Thus, taking matters into her own hands, Sakura uses her final command seal to order Medusa to protect Shiro while she sneaks out to confront Zoken. At the estate, Sakura encounters Shinji, now driven to complete madness. He attacks her and again tries to rape her, and in self-defense, Sakura stabs him to death atop her bed. With this, she fully succumbs to Angra Mainyu's influence, fusing with the shadow and transforming into a dark form of herself. Her negative emotions allow Angra Mainyu to manipulate her into kidnapping Ilya and unleashing the corrupt forms of Saber and Berserker upon Shiro. The part of Sakura that remains intact wishes to sacrifice herself to defeat Angra Mainyu as the Greater Grail manifests itself beneath Mount Enzo. There, Sakura kills Zoken once and for all by gouging out and crushing the crestworm in her heart. To confront Dark Sakura, Rin, Ilya, and Shiro team up to project a weapon that can fight Angra Mainyu, a blade known as the Jeweled Sword Zelrech. By harnessing the power from multiple universes, Rin uses the sword to carve her way through Sakura's shadow monsters and confront her directly. In this moment, the two sisters finally connect and discuss being separated 11 years ago. They each aim for a fatal strike against the other, but Rin cannot bring herself to kill her beloved sister. Instead, she embraces Sakura, being stabbed and nearly killed in an act of love. Scared and driven to a corner, Sakura chases Shiro away as he draws closer. Shiro allows his body to be torn up by her tendrils. To save Sakura, Shiro projects Medea's Rule Breaker, a noble phantasm that severs the bond between master and servant. He stabs Sakura with the blade, freeing her from Angra Mainyu. When she comes to, the Grail War is already over, having been destroyed by Shiro, who is in turn saved by Ilya donning the dress of heaven and invoking the lost magic heavens feel. He now inhabits an artificial body built by Toko Aozaki. Sakura survives the war with an immense amount of residual mana, enough to maintain Medusa in the modern era. Finally, after a lifetime of horror, torture, pain, fear, and sadness, Sakura is able to peacefully live out her days with those she loves. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, then go check out some of my other lore videos. It's my goal to make one of these for virtually every servant in the Nasuverse, and I would appreciate your support through that journey. The best way would be to become a patron of the channel. We offer different reward tiers, ranging from early access to the chance to suggest your very own video. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to OtakuDaiKun for more anime lists, reviews, discussions, lore videos, let's plays, and the holy waifu wars. Until next time, celebrate your fandom.